Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. 11 after 9 o'clock on this Monday morning. And we are now going to be talking with Economist Reezwana Sumad. And we are going to be talking about, obviously, the markets being on edge as election season years, which, well, I keep saying it's just literally around the corner. In fact, I was having a discussion with my husband and we were talking about possibly selling off a property. And he said, no, I don't think the markets, are ready yet for it's. What did he say? It's a buyer's market, not a seller's market. And he says the markets are pretty jittery at the moment. Salaam alaikum to you. Welcome. Do you think that he was right in his assessment, Rizwana?
Walaikum salam. Jazakallah for having me. Definitely, markets are on tenterhooks currently because of event risk that we have locally. We've got elections at the end of this month, like you said, around the corner. There is a lot of uncertainty as to what type of coalition government is going to govern after May 29. And I think that's what's driving the uncertainty that whether the policy environment is going to change fundamentally after this election. So definitely not a time to be taking on or disposing of risk currently ahead of elections.
You talk about the policies, what policy would look like post elections. With the scenario we're being faced with right now regarding the markets volatility is concerned, is this not a scenario that plays out in any country that is up for elections? And, how long after the elections does the dust settle, so to speak?
Yeah, definitely before elections, political risks and economic policy uncertainty does drive market volatility. But I think in South Africa, why it's very different this year is because it's the first time that the ANC is likely to govern in a coalition environment or in a coalition government. It's going to be the first time since 1994 that the country has a national coalition. If the polls are correct. And I think that is what is driving increased volatility over and above any other election that we have had thus far. In terms of when the dust settles, so within 2 weeks after the election results are announced, Parliament needs to be created. So a speaker, a deputy speaker, and a president needs to be voted on and agreed within 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks, markets will get some type of certainty. But in our view, when the results are announced with the proportion victory to whichever political party, it will be much more clearer for markets to ascertain what type of coalition would likely materialize in South Africa once we have the election results. So I think we're likely to see a knee-jerk reaction after the election, certainly from a currency perspective.
We'd heard on the weekend, and I think people were pretty jittery all around the country because we heard of an impending truckers' strike. Alhamdulillah, it has been put on hold for now. How much would that have hurt our economy and the upcoming elections?
Yeah, it depends on the length or duration of the strike. Typically, when we did have various other strikes previously, we did see the rand weaken on the day, so very short-term moves in the currency on the back of those isolated incidents. So it will definitely be more hurtful for growth the longer it extends. Like you said, that has been averted. But if you think of a previous platinum miners strikes, strikes in the steel and engineering space, that went on for months, that had definitely had a negative impact on those industries in terms of their contribution to growth. Those industries had actually contracted on the quarter, for the whole quarter, because of those strikes. So a strike will depend on the length and the severity of the strike.
Let's hope that doesn't happen pre the elections. And if it does happen, we hope it doesn't happen at all. But if it does, then let it happen post elections because it will have an impact on the elections. And I guess overseas investors, they are jittery already as it is. That would hurt us very badly, would it not?
Yeah, so any type of social unrest in South Africa or, well, any other country would definitely hurt investor sentiment. For now, what we have been seeing is the currency has strengthened quite substantially in the last 4 weeks, mainly on the back of global factors. If you think about the currency, the exchange rate, 60% of the exchange rate is being driven by global factors, 40% being driven by local factors. And so for now, the rand is strong because of global factors, because of expectations that the US Federal Reserve would cut interest rates in the second half of this year. And so that has resulted in the rand trading this morning at around 18 rand 15 cents against the dollar. But in the longer run, the more occurrences of social unrest, socio-economic unrest, like strikes, like violent activity, or violent strikes, that would definitely hurt investors' sentiment, particularly in the areas where they occur the most. We see investors shying away from sinking investment on the ground in terms of factories, manufacturing hubs, etc. So definitely, the more frequent the occurrence is, the more severity it becomes, the more severe it becomes, it will definitely hurt investor sentiment from an investment perspective. But from a markets perspective, that is, I think, much more volatile and liquid, and prone to more be affected by global factors.
Okay, and finally, I've read in the press statement, and I quote, the prevailing uncertainties around the pending South African election and its outcome have contributed to business confidence being brittle in the first quarter of 2024. We're now going to the second quarter, and a lot is going to depend on the outcome of the elections. Would I be correct in thinking that?
Yeah, but you must also remember that things that affect business confidence are things that that businesses would be impacted by on a day-to-day basis. In the first quarter, we did have more frequent occurrences of load shedding, more days of load shedding, and high stages of load shedding, and that is the one factor that immediately negatively impacts business confidence and business sentiment. The second aspect is logistical challenges that Transnet has been facing, where businesses that import and export and have to use the Durban or the Cape Town or other ports operated by Transnet have been having difficulties on the logistics fronts. So that has negatively impacted business confidence in the first quarter of the year. In the second quarter, we've had a fewer days of load shedding, lower stages of load shedding. We've also had some of the port backlogs at some of the ports ease. So that could help business confidence. And certainly, if we were to get a positive election outcome, or an election outcome that would suggest that some of our key stakeholders, like the Reserve Bank, like SARS, like National Treasury, like the judiciary, remain independent with their current mandates, then and maintain their own credibility and will not be interfered with, that will definitely have a positive impact, not just on business confidence, but on investor sentiment as well.
And inshallah, let's make dua that that is the outcome that we actually do see, post the elections. Always a pleasure talking with you, Reezwana Sumad, economist, talking to us about the markets. Till the next time, Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam.
9:20 exactly, news and views. Moving along, do hope that you are tuned to us via video and audio stream and enjoying the different conversations we're having on air this morning. And just to give you an update, we are now going to be talking with a head of another political party. They are the Conservatives in Action. The acronym there is CIA. SA party leader Samuel H. Kennedy. Let's hear what they're offering in the upcoming elections.